Indian Constitution. Part 2. Fundamental Rights in the Indian Constitution. Definition. Fundamental rights are a set of rights guaranteed to all citizens of India by the Constitution. They are essential for the overall development of individuals and for maintaining democracy, equality, and freedom in the country. Enshrined in Part 3 of the Constitution, Articles 12 to 35. Described as the Magna Carta of India. They are justiciable, meaning they can be enforced by courts. List of fundamental rights. 1. Right to equality, Articles 14 to 18. Article 14, Equality before law and equal protection of laws. Article 15, Prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Article 16, Equality of opportunity in public employment. Article 17, Abolition of untouchability. Article 18, Abolition of titles, except military/academic distinctions. 2. Right to freedom, Articles 19 to 22. Article 19, 6 freedoms. Freedom of speech and expression. Freedom to assemble peacefully. Freedom to form associations/unions. Freedom to move freely. Freedom to reside and settle anywhere. Freedom to practice any profession. Article 20, Protection in respect of conviction for offenses. Article 21, Protection of life and personal liberty. Article 21A, Right to education, free and compulsory for children 6 to 14 years. Article 22, Protection against arbitrary arrest and detention. 3. Right against exploitation, Articles 23 to 24. Article 23, Prohibition of human trafficking and forced labor. Article 24, Prohibition of employment of children below 14 years in hazardous industries. 4. Right to freedom of religion, Articles 25 to 28. Article 25, Freedom of conscience and free profession, practice, and propagation of religion. Article 26, Freedom to manage religious affairs. Article 27, Freedom from paying taxes for promotion of any religion. Article 28, Freedom from religious instruction in certain educational institutions. 5. Cultural and educational rights, Articles 29 to 30. Article 29, Protection of interests of minorities in preserving their culture. Article 30, Right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. 6. Right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. Called the heart and soul of the Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Allows individuals to approach the Supreme Court directly to enforce fundamental rights. Courts can issue writs, habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. Constitutional background DPSPs. Part 4 of the Indian Constitution. Articles 36 to 51. Inspired by the Irish Constitution. Aim, to establish a welfare state and promote social and economic democracy. Classification of DPSPs. 1. Socialistic principles. Aim to promote social and economic equality. Article 38, Promote welfare of the people by securing a social order. Article 39, Equal pay for equal work, adequate means of livelihood, etc. Article 41, Right to work, education and public assistance. Article 42, Just and humane conditions of work and maternity relief. Article 43, Living wage for workers. Article 47, Raise the level of nutrition and standard of living. 2. Gandhian principles. Based on Gandhi's ideals. Article 40, Organization of village panchayats. Article 43, Promote cottage industries. Article 46, Promote educational and economic interests of SCs, STs, and other weaker sections. Article 47, Prohibit intoxicating drinks and drugs. Article 48, Prohibit cow slaughter and protect animals. 3. Liberal intellectual principles. Inspired by Western liberalism. Article 44, Uniform Civil Code, UCC, for all citizens. Article 45, Free and compulsory education for children, now shifted to Article 21A as a fundamental right. Article 48, Organization of agriculture and animal husbandry. Article 49, Protection of monuments and heritage. Article 50, Separation of judiciary from executive. Article 51, Promote international peace and security. Key features DPSP. Not legally enforceable, Article 37. Act as guidelines for governance. Aim to achieve socio-economic justice. Used by courts for interpretation of laws. Can influence public policies. Relationship with fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are justiciable, whereas DPSPs are not. In cases of conflict, courts have generally given precedence to fundamental rights. However, the Supreme Court in Kesavananda Bharati case, 1973, held that DPSPs are part of the basic structure of the Constitution. Later, in Minerva Mills case, 1980, it was stated that harmony must be maintained between FRs and DPSPs. Amendments related to DPSP. 42nd Amendment, 1976 added Article 39A, Free Legal Aid, Article 43A, Participation of Workers, Article 48A, Environment Protection. 44th Amendment, 1978 removed right to property from FRs and moved to Article 300A. 86th Amendment, 2002 shifted education, age 6 to 14, to fundamental rights under Article 21A. Fundamental duties of Indian citizens. Constitutional background. Part 4A of the Constitution. Article 51A. Added by the 42nd Amendment Act, 1976. Based on the Constitution of the USSR, now Russia. Originally 10 duties, 11th added by the 86th Amendment Act, 2002. Purpose. To remind citizens that while enjoying fundamental rights, they also have responsibilities. Promote a sense of discipline and commitment among citizens. Help in nation building and strengthening democracy. Key points. Non-justiciable, cannot be enforced by courts, like DPSPs. But can be promoted through laws, e.g., Environmental Protection Act, 1986. Serve as a moral code of conduct for citizens. Important cases. AIAMS Students Union v. AIAMS, 2001 Supreme Court stated that fundamental duties are equally important as fundamental rights. Courts can interpret laws in harmony with fundamental duties. List of 11 fundamental duties, Article 51A. It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. To uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. To defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. To promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood among all the people of India and renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. To protect and improve the natural environment including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. To develop scientific temper, humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reform. To safeguard public property and to abjure violence. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. Added by 86th Amendment to provide opportunities for education to his child or ward between the age of 6 and 14 years. Secular state. A secular state is one that does not uphold any religion as the state religion. In India, the state maintains equal distance from all religions. Citizens have the freedom to practice, propagate, and profess any religion, Article 25 to 28. The government cannot discriminate on the basis of religion. The term secular was explicitly added to the preamble by the 42nd Amendment, 1976. Universal adult franchise. Universal adult franchise means every adult citizen of India has the right to vote, regardless of religion, race, caste, sex, or education. The minimum age to vote is 18 years, reduced from 21 by the 61st Amendment Act, 1988. This principle is the basis of democratic representation in India, Article 326. Single citizenship. India follows the concept of single citizenship, derived from British Constitution. Every Indian is a citizen of India, regardless of the state or union territory they reside in. Promotes unity and national integration. Contrast with countries like the USA, where dual citizenship, national plus state, exists. Emergency provisions. Emergency provisions, Part 18, Articles 352 to 360, empower the President to declare emergencies in extraordinary situations. National emergency, Article 352, due to war, external aggression, or armed rebellion. President's rule, Article 356, failure of constitutional machinery in a state. Financial emergency, Article 360, threat to financial stability. 12 parts of Indian Constitution is given below. Take a screenshot.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in next video.